Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. First I want to thank Lisa for this and for making Better Politics part of the Berlin Freedom Week. The Berlin Freedom Week was an idea only a year ago when my sister Macia and I were invited to celebrate the fall of the Berlin Wall. And we gave a speech that was very simple. We said, you're celebrating the wall as something from the past, but we want to talk to you about the walls of the present that we want to tear down. The walls that divide the men from the women in Iran, in Afghanistan, the walls that divide us from freedom in Venezuela, and so on. The mayor liked what we said, and he said, what can I do to help the World Liberty Congress? And basically we told him, well, you are the mayor of one of the most important cities in Europe, and the same way that Paris has the Paris Fashion Week, why don't we organize the Berlin Freedom Week? And he said, I like the idea. So after that, we spent some time thinking about this. I met Lisa, talked about this. I said, hey, Lisa, you live in Berlin, so why don't you are part of the Berlin Freedom Week? And here we are, part of 130 events that will be taking place this week in Berlin. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I want to start telling you that I love politics. I love politics. I've always have. I never wanted to do anything different in my life than be a public servant. That's what I remember always doing, not to be a politician, to be a public servant. I come from a country where there is a lot of inequality. I had the blessing of having 3 plates of food every day, of getting to know my grandparents, my parents, to have an education. But I witnessed the inequality in my country, and that's what drove me to be involved in public service. It was always my dream, and I've never done anything different than be a public servant in one way or another. As it was said, I was a political prisoner for many years. I spent 7 years in prison, 4 of them in solitary confinement, a lot of that time without any books or paper or anything to write. So I had a lot of time to think. And one of the things that I thought about was, who am I? What have I done throughout my life? How do I define myself? And one of the things that I have consistently done since I was a teenager is to build movements. So in a way, I can tell you I'm a movement entrepreneur. And that's something that I really enjoy doing. My first important movement was when I was in college. And it was 1991, a month after Desert Storm started. I was studying liberal arts in the United States. And exactly a month afterwards that the bombs fell, we did a protest. We did a protest that was an anti-war protest. And we turned down the alarms of the entire university. And we've made it very clear that we were against what was happening. And we placed our manifesto. They caught one of us, but it was 26 of us that were involved in that, so we all showed up, and they couldn't throw us out, so they suspended us. That was a movement that was an environmental organization in a university that only had fraternities, sororities, and we didn't want to be part of something that was that divisive, so we created the first movement in the university that was co-ed, and that was about environmentalism, and it was about grassroots organization. Then I moved on. I went to grad school. I went to Harvard. And at Harvard, I created another movement. It was called Forum Venezuela, an organization that still exists today. And it was all about having conversations about our country. Then I moved back to Venezuela. I started first a political party in the year 2000. It was after Chavez won the election. So it was Chavez against the old political parties. And we created a third way. We created a party of young people. I was completely unknown, and I quit my job working at the oil industry as an economist and presented myself as a candidate for the city where I grew up, Caracas. I was the complete underdog. I went door to door. I was hunting for traffic every day, 4 a.m. I would wake up to find traffic, to give people my pamphlet saying, my name is Leopoldo López, quiero ser tu alcalde. I would give them my cell phone, and I did that every single day, every single afternoon. I was hunting for traffic, and I won. I was reelected, and in the meantime, I was hoping to continue in my path of elected politics, but the last time I was able to run for office was in the year 2004. So I've been doing politics for 21 years, every day of my life, without having a title, without having a position. So politics, in my view, is not just about having a title, having a position. It's about what you do, what your passion is. So I was banned to run for office, and I was unemployed. I ended up my term with more than 90% approval rate, and I was unable to run for office. So I was in an office with a couple of people, and we said, so what do we do? Let's build another movement. So I went around Venezuela, and we built a movement with the youth, with the youngest people, with the student movement in Venezuela. I went around every corner of my country. I would meet people in small towns, mid-towns, large cities. Sometimes I would meet with 500 people, sometimes with 5 people. And I would give the same passion and the same energy to a meeting with 5 people and with 500 people. And people would tell me, people were with me, why do you, when it was small meetings, people were, oh, I'm sorry, the people that were supposed to come didn't come. I'm sorry, I hope you don't feel bad. I was, don't worry about it. We'll make this 5, go to 5,000. And some of those 5s ended up being mayors, ended up being members of parliament, because it was not about the numbers. It was about the passion and the ideas. And that movement took me to prison, because for 4 years, we built a movement that was focused on 2 ideas. One, grassroots organization that was focused on social leadership. We had this idea, if you want to be a politician, you need to be a social leader. To be a political leader, you first need to be a social leader. So that was the type of leadership that we were looking for. And the second idea was to commit to nonviolent action. Nonviolent action, not in the passive yoga way that some people think that nonviolent action is. Violent action in the way that is defiant, in the way that it confronts, that it looks to break the scars, to show the scars of the system in order for the putrefied system to change the consciousness of the people and produce change. Martin Luther King, the letter from the prison of Birmingham, that has shaped my view of nonviolent action. Then we called for protest. Tens of thousands of people came to the streets. It was January 23, 2014. And we had this idea, we need to take the people to the streets. The year before, Maduro had stole the election. There was a lot of frustration. There was no mobilization. But I had been around and around the country, and I knew that the field was dry, and only a match to the field would ignite the fire of the people. So I went around, talked to other politicians, talked to other movements. I said, let's call the people to the streets. Everybody said no, but one woman, Maria Corina Machado. So Maria Corina Machado and myself, we called for protests. That took tens of thousands of people to the streets. It took me to prison. I spent 7 years there, 4 years in solitary confinement, was sentenced to 14 years of imprisonment. I have some minutes left, so I'll be very quick. Then I was able to escape prison, and finally I was able to come into exile. Never wanted to come into exile, never wanted to leave my country. Exile, for people that live it, know that exile is another form of imprisonment. So that led me to build another movement. I was frustrated, I didn't know what to do. And I started to meet people like myself, people like Masih Alinejad, people from Africa, from Asia, people that had been in prison, that had been building movements. And we were all, in a way, frustrated. We didn't know what to do. We felt alone. We felt that our issues were not being heard. Sometimes we were at the news cycle. The other times we were at the forgotten part of the news cycle. So we decided to come together with an idea. Let's build now a global movement, a movement of people that want to be free. The world, sisters and brothers, it's becoming more and more autocratic. And keep this in mind. 12 years ago, 40% of the population was under autocracy. Today, it's more than 70%. We are losing the fight for democracy. And meaning that we are losing the fight for democracy means that we're losing the fight for freedom, because we cannot be free if there is no democracy. Beware of the people that tell you that people can be free if there is not a democracy. The only path to freedom, making freedom as the promised land, is democracy. There is no other way to freedom than democracy. So we came together and we had this idea of building the World Liberty Congress. And we went around and we met for the first time and in Lithuania, and we gathered members from 40 nations. And this week, we had the culmination of our foundational moment of the movement here in Berlin. We were able to convince the city mayor of Berlin and the parliament of Berlin to open up the Berlin city parliament for troublemakers from all over the world, people that fight for freedom, people that are linked with this idea that we can be free. So we met in our Congress, 180 delegates, almost half of them women. I think it's the only parliament that has that high level of representation of women. Half of them in exile, the other half in territory. More than 2/3 of the people that gathered here had been at some point of their careers in prison. Very particular group of people. So we culminated that by doing something that we believe is key for movements. And I know the time is up, but if you can give me, Lisa, 2 more minutes. Okay. The foundation of the movements. What does it take to build a movement? What is better politics? You can think that better politics is the politics that is aligned only with your ideas, only with your moral understanding of the world. And that way you might divide the people, good and bad, and you think that people that think different than I do, they are the bad people, and I am the right person because I believe that this is the only idea. I believe that better politics is about having an idea that can be shared and it can be contagious to many other people. I think that good politicians, women and men, are those that can articulate an idea that people have in their mind but have no way of really expressing it. And then they can express it in a way that they take ownership of that idea. And that's what we did with the World Liberty Congress. And one of the things that I believe is important for building better politics is to practice democracy. Many people preach about democracy, but few people really commit to practicing democracy. What does that mean? Sometimes it means to do sacrifices. It means that you have to listen to people. It means that your ideas need to be shaped by what the people are telling you, by what you are getting from the cluster of people you are working for. But it also means that you need to practice democracy in a way that people have a say in the way the movement is conducted. So we were the founders, Masi, Gary, myself, we were the founders of this idea. But 2 days ago, we held an election in our movement. And in that election, we decided that we were not going to participate. So we ended up our World Liberty Congress with something that I dream of happens in my country and in other countries, with the existing Executive Council stepping down and the new Executive Council stepping up because we needed to practice alternance of power. So I will conclude with this. Better politics, you need to have a clear idea. Second, that idea needs that people can share that idea. So you need to listen and you need to shape it in a way that people take ownership. And third, you need to practice democracy. Don't be afraid of the people. I believe that the best movements are the movements that are truly participatory. And one final idea. Stay away from extreme ideology, from the right or from the left. I come from a movement it's a progressive movement. It's a movement that it's aligned with progressive ideas. But we have been deeply frustrated by the way the progressive world politics have seen our issue in Venezuela. So we built the World Liberty Congress as a movement that is beyond politics, beyond left and right, beyond liberals and conservatives, and centers in the core idea of what democracy is. And democracy, in our view, in the most simplest expression, is rule of law, respect to human rights, and free and fair elections. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. It's been great to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.